Okay, hello and welcome to this very special UK Film Review Filmmaker interview with Sean Cranston. Hi, Sean, how are you?
What's up?
Where do we find you today? Whereabouts are you?
I'm in up. Oh, I'm in upstate New York. It's a
Upstate.
beautiful day here.
Perfect. I mean, Southeast London is sunny, so that's not bad for us. But
Yeah.
um, and how are the situation with COVID and things? Is cinemas open where you are or not?
Uh, Movie theaters, I believe, are just open to full capacity now. Um, I have not been to one yet. Also, a lot of like live bands and live music, all that stuff starting to kind of come back out again. Again, I haven't really been to anything like that. Although when I was in Boston a few weeks ago, I saw this guy playing saxophone by himself, and people were just swarming around him. And he wasn't playing any originals; he was playing covers. But like people were so happy to just watch someone play music outside. It was such a cool thing to watch.
Absolutely. I think the world is dying to get back to some normality, and the little bits of art and performance that were allowed to be beautifully received. We're on the cusp of going back to cinemas here. Monday the cinemas are going to be reopening. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We are here to talk about your films, Sean. We're here to talk about your films.
Yeah,
So we
if you want
reviewed,
to.
if that's okay with you. I mean, that's the way you want to talk about it. We reviewed Redville last year, I think, or maybe earlier this year, which is a
Hmm.
feature length, and our writer really liked it. I've watched it myself, and it's very, very enjoyable. And so the film was written by
Excellent.
Scott Thompson, and he's in the film. But how did you come to be part of this project and the director?
Great question. Redville is a very special movie to me because it's the first film that I was ever asked to direct. Normally, I would always write stuff and I would direct it and produce it and act in it, even if necessary. But with Redville, this was a very full circle collaboration kind of a film where Scott was the writer and he's the singer in the band Deadlift, which I'm their drummer. So uh, he had kind of come to me with the idea at one of our band practices, and we talked about it for probably a good year before anything went into motion. And so it was cool to just have uh, my job laid out for me. It was like you're directing, and then we have this whole other bunch of people who are going to do their jobs, and that was very cool for me to do that.
Yeah, because looking at your list of films, you often are writer, director, or you're involved in some other way. How was that experience then, being just the director on this one?
It was very freeing. I mean, when you have so many things to do on your to-do list, it really like it causes panic attacks, anxiety, it causes all that stuff, and I think any filmmaker could relate to that. But um, to just be like, okay, here's my story. Can you help me make it? So it was a beautiful experience for me because I really just got to like sit back and just focus on helping somebody make their story come to life. And it was like, that's your job. That's all you have to do, and that was a lot of fun. It really was. I recommend if anybody gets a chance to direct someone else's work, you find a lot more joy in helping someone, and also you find and you learn things about yourself too. So any collaboration is good.
Oh, and I think that really comes across in the film. One of the things I noticed was an attention to detail that sometimes you don't get if maybe you're the solo filmmaker, maybe you're the one trying to push everything, like you say, spinning all the plates.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what? Is this? I mean, we're okay with spoilers. It's not a massive spoiler, but I just would you rather
yeah. Go
didn't.
for it.
Just one scene. I mean, it's not a massive spoiler, but there's a scene at the funeral where you were kind of undercutting some other scenes that had happened, and the visuals were becoming kind of blurred. And it was a really nice touch, something that just was something that a director would have gone, "This is how I want to present that scene,"
Yeah,
um, and it really worked. It was so moving. It was like that's actually really created such a memorable piece of filmmaking for me. And I think that kind of was really evident in the film, that you had other people working on it, like, because obviously Scott is in the film and he's the writer. Um, so I think having maybe your direction really helped. And is that something Scott was aware of, that he wanted to give you the reins a bit?
Yes. So, I mean, everybody in Deadlift, they all kind of, it's Scott's movie, but Scott, had opened the doors for everyone in the band to kind of pitch in ideas. So, although I did take the reins in directing, I won't take the entire credit for how the film looks, because the whole band really had many, many discussions on what it should look like, what lines should change. And then another key member is my good friend Jim Powers, who did the editing. And normally he does cinematography for a lot of other films I make as well. But Jim and I have been collaborating since we were in kindergarten. And so I'm really lucky to have a friend like him in my life who understands the filmmaking process and that eye for detail, and he helped bring a lot of that in the editing.
Fantastic. And a fairly low budget, right? $6 grand, I think.
Yeah.
How was that?
Well, it was tight, but here's what I'll say. This is something that was kind of drilled into my head throughout my time in this business, is that the idea comes first, the money should come second. And unfortunately, with Hollywood, watch any movie on the shelf these days, and the money always comes first, and the story drags, and it's almost like hard for me to watch movies now, because the formulas are so in your face, and almost like you can't not, that fourth wall is kind of gone now, which is it's sad. But so with Redville, it was more about putting the money into the story and the idea, and not so much about, like, how do we find this really large name actor to sell the whole film. We did it independently, and so it's definitely going to come off as an indie feature, and I'm fine with that. But the elements of the story were pretty basic. It was a small town, and we didn't need explosions or blood and guts or anything like that. So we just tried to make do with what we had.
I mean, there was one scene in particular that I got very distressed about. I'm not sure if you can see on my screen, but I've got a guitar there, and one of the characters smashes up a guitar, and I was just like, no. I mean, there's budget there, but also sacrilege.
If I could just, that was my guitar, and it wasn't a workable guitar. I took it to all these different repair shops, and they would look at it, and they're like, "Wow, the neck's bent, and the body's unrepairable." And so I was just like, "All right, smash it."
That's okay. I think that's okay. You're saying it was dead already. That's fine.
I got a couple other guitars in its place.
Fantastic. What has the reaction been like to Redville then? And so obviously we loved it, but what about festivals and audiences? How's that been?
Yeah, I just again, I want to say thank you for watching and supporting the film. It really does mean a lot, especially because when you make it here in New York, you're not really expecting that anyone in the UK is going to see it, let alone anywhere in the world. But so it's on behalf of Deadlift Productions, definitely a big thank you from all of us, because we appreciate that people enjoy it. What was your question?
Everyone else. Did anyone else like it?
Yeah, I hope so. We recently just released the film on Trauma Entertainment, and Trauma, really big Toxic Avenger, and lots of really crazy campy horror stuff. But they were nice enough to come through and choose Redville to be on their roster, and we thought that was very cool. And so it's on there now, on Trauma now. You can watch it, and it's been cool. We've got a lot of reviews, and we did other interviews, and for the most part, it's been a positive response for making an indie film that didn't see really the light of day because of the pandemic. Very, very cool response.
Because that must have been hard, right? Obviously, you released it last year, and you've got all the cinemas closing.
Yeah.
So did it screen at any cinemas at all, or was it all completely online?
Yeah, no, we did it on this website called Binge Wave, and
Okay.
I don't think I'll ever collaborate with them again. Just not to downplay anything, but just like at the time when we were doing that, there was no communication, and we were trying really hard to put a lot of money into the promotion, and also the election season was going on when we were trying to premiere the movie. So social media wouldn't take our money in promoting it because it was all centered around like political campaigns, and so they thought that
Mm.
that was like us trying to like you know affect the U.S. presidency. But I'm like, we're podunk filmmakers from New York. We're not gonna like, you know. So like we got hit from a few different angles of people who were hurting us more than helping us. But for all that stuff being dropped on us, we still pulled in 5 days worth of views. I think we had like 1,000 to 2,000 views or something like that. It was pretty crazy. And then now all the views that we've gotten from Troma and stuff is just hopefully it's getting its share of views.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I think it needs it. Before we move on to some of the other films, I just wanted to say, obviously, I've seen the film, and I can highly recommend it as this excellently paced thriller. It's got a really nice pacing to it, really clever story. I love the way that it jumped. I thought that was quite bold, especially on the budget you guys were doing, to then have a cast of younger versions. Like, you could have easily not done that, but I think it added to the depth of the film, that the relationships were spread over so many decades, rather than you could have easily just gone straight in at like the dining room table scene where they're all having the drinks. You could have got to there and pretty much almost carried on from there. So yeah, it's ambitious, and I think people should seek it out. We'll give people a link on Troma, but I'm not sure if UK audiences will be able to see it. Sometimes there's region issues, but we'll certainly do our best to share it with our network.
Yeah, oh,
Um,
absolutely. If not there, I know that we are in the works of trying to get it on Amazon Prime as well.
Perfect. So in the meantime, you made a shortcut film called Holiday Spirit. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah. Uh, well, the first thing about Holiday Spirit was it was written by my good friend Bailey Victoria, who has been in my life a long time. And just kind of recently, I discovered that she had this hidden talent of being able to create really cool horror concepts. And she's a big horror fan. And so I would talk with her a bunch, and she told me this idea one time, and I was like, Bailey, there's something to that, and it was kind of just one of those like it was about a Christmas tree, and how like they were taking off ornaments, and then this one ornament would just be like very evil, and it would just sort of like make things like unsettling, but all the rest of the ornaments were very hallmarky and had these like beautiful precious memories. So I was like, there's something to that. I've never seen a movie like that before, and I don't think anyone else has either. So I jumped at the opportunity to make it, and I hope to make more things with her because she's a very fun person to collab with.
Well, I'm a massive Christmas film fan, so do send it my way. I want to check it
Sure, sure.
out.
Yeah.
Is that available anywhere, or is it still kind of wrapped up?
No, it's you can find it on like Film Freeway. There's a link to watch the video there, but as far as like it being on any major platforms like YouTube or anything, just not right now. It's still kind of circulating in festivals.
Right.
Just kind of seeing how it does there. But Bailey and I are definitely in the works of trying to make some more stuff. She's a big part of my life.
Fantastic. Well, we'll stay tuned for that. And then the latest film sees you again back in the writer's chair as well. So, writer and director on The Full Moon Fathers. So, considering the pandemic, Sean, you've been very busy making films. A lot of people have just kind of given up for the year, right? But you've made made a few. Um, where did this film originate? What's the story? Where's this come from?
Uh, yeah. As far as like keeping busy, you know, a lot of people need money, to make films, and I do too, but I sort of have always had this mentality that if you have people, if you can like order some pizzas and wings and sort of get people over to your house and or wherever you want to go, like you can make a movie anywhere. It's really just about finding a passionate crew. So with Full Moon Fathers, this was kind of a film that I wrote, but I already had like a list of people in my head that I knew, like, if I could get these people in the same room, this movie could happen. So the wheels started for this movie a couple years ago. Um, I had finished this movie called Highlighters, and that's on Amazon Prime. And right after I finished it, I guess I, rethought about my story structure, how I, wanted to come off as a filmmaker. I wasn't entirely proud of Highlighters, but it was a hard time. And so Full Moon Fathers kind of came from just a couple years of a lot of studying movies and studying story structures and just studying a lot of stuff and sort of having this cast in my head that I knew if I could get them together, it would happen. So ultimately, we tried to shoot last year. The pandemic cut that down. And so now this year, everybody just called me and was like, you remember that movie? Like, we still want to do it. And that was all I needed to hear. And we weren't going to waste time looking for budgets and stuff like that. We were just like, let's just order pizza and wings and like have everyone over and make a movie.
Fantastic. And I can see Paul, I'm going to get his surname wrong, Paul Sacchetti, or
Yep,
Sacchetti
Sacchetti.
he's back, right?
Paulie
So he was in
Smallnuts.
Redville.
Yeah, Paulie. He's Paulie's a great friend of mine. I've known him a long, long time, and his work on Redville really, he kind of clawed his way up to the top of the list for this movie because he had put in so much dedication to the character in Redville that I was like, this role is completely different. Joe Riley from Redville is also returning in this movie, and so this film is about a biker gang. It centers around a biker gang in 1979. They're on the run from the law, and they seek a hideaway in the woods to get away. And while they're there, they kind of discover that the woods is kind of without spoiling it, it's soured by witchcraft in the 1600s. So they're kind of like running from the real world problems, and then they're in this like more dark kind of an atmosphere.
So this is going to be a period piece to an extent, and you've got the supernatural element coming in. And I've had a quick look, and it says the budget was 10K. So again, going shooting high, Sean. Yeah, we're going to try and achieve magic with this one. I mean, I'm very intrigued to see what happens.
That's the idea, It's a surprise. It's just as much as a surprise for me as it is for you. I mean, we a lot of the ideas when we're shooting between Redville, Full Moon Fathers, Holiday Spirit, any of these movies that I've done, it comes from the heart of not just me, but the people working around me. A lot of times ideas are born that day just by getting people to the same place in the same location, and ideas start flying and as long as everyone is in good spirits and wants to be there, you're going to get the product you're looking for because there's I won't say you should compromise any vision because I know a lot of people would hate for that to be that way, but like sometimes if you like can't achieve something, think there are ways to do it. You just got to really think about it. And so that is definitely some advice I could put out there for other filmmakers is don't let money always dictate everything that happens in your story. If like something seems too expensive or maybe you just don't have the right props or costumes or anything like that, like there's always a way to shoot around it or yeah, you get it.
I mean, you've taken off one of my questions. I was going to say what your advice for filmmakers would be, and I think that's perfect. It's really good to see that, and I think one of the things when I've been looking at your filmography has been that the sense of getting the movies made. That's the sort of difference between some filmmakers and others is just going and doing it, even in a pandemic. no budget.
Yeah.
Like, you're still seeing these films coming through. And whereabouts are you with the film now in terms of what stage of production are you?
Full Moon Fathers right now, still in mid production. We're shooting. We're I would say we're about 50% through shooting. We still have maybe 2 or 3 more full days, which will probably be broken up into 4 or 5 days, like smaller days. But I don't know exactly how it'll be released. I haven't thought that far. I just, one thing at a time. I wanted to worry more about making it, before I got into that stuff.
Absolutely. I think, yeah, very, very cautious of you, but also bold to be striding forward. We're really looking forward to seeing what you do, Sean. Before we go, have you got a favourite film? Something you want to big up? Maybe a lesser known film?
Yeah, I have a lot of favorite films. Jurassic Park, I have tattooed on my right shoulder. Um, that one was big for me. Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is a big one. Man, I could go on and on.
Oh, I think next time we're definitely going to see that tattoo. So next time, if you can just be prepared, we want to see the Jurassic Park tattoo.
Oh yeah, I can totally do that.
Oh, here we go. Hopefully, you're still wearing trousers when you come back.
Yes, of course. There we go.
Wow, fantastic.
There it is.
That's
I got
amazing.
that. I saw that movie when I was like 4, 5 years old, and it terrified me. I remember like my mom had told me that I was like kind of sitting in the movie theater, just like just eyes were glued to the movie screen and just fear. But it was like a good fear. It was like, this is so intense that I can't believe I'm seeing this. So I guess when I make films, I kind of strive to recreate that same feeling that I had of like watching a movie and really being there, being present for it.
It's really funny that you should say about that cinema experience, because I had one of my earliest cinema experiences was in our town. There was 2 screens. The cinema just had 2 screens, and I was in some children's film. I went to the bathroom. I came back, and I accidentally walked into the wrong screening, and it was Jurassic Park, and it was the bit with the pterodactyl, or the bit that shoots ink, and I was scarred for life. But I absolutely love the film now. I watched it when I was meant to watch it a few years later, and yeah, what a piece of film! Absolutely extraordinary.
Amazing.
So there we go. We've got that in common, as well as love of filmmaking. And I think, Sean, obviously it's been an absolute blast having you here. We'll send people to the right places. We'll try and get them onto Troma to watch Redville. But obviously keep us informed of all the films you're making. We want to see them, and we'll review them for you. All right. This has been a film review production interview with Sean Cranston, and we'll see you again next time.